Sounds good.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here with a local Santanero boxer who's bringing pride to the city, showing up for our city. But he's also more than a boxer, right? Everybody has more to themselves than what they're showing up for professionally. He's a father, he's a husband, he's someone who has a lot of stories and a lot of wisdom, I'm sure, to impart. And so we're really just trying to hear people's stories so that we can all kind of expand what we're trying to do in our own world. So I want to introduce here Ronny Rios. Thank you for joining us, Ronny.
Thank you for having me, Fernando. It's a pleasure, and thank you for working around my schedule, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. And so, like I said earlier, I met you when you came down to the Neutral Ground Boxing Club, and you
Yeah, a
came
couple
down
of
and
months
told,
ago. Yeah.
yeah. And unfortunately, the boxing club is shut down now. So the boxing
Oh,
club,
really?
yeah,
I
so
didn't
it's
know that.
on it's on a hiatus. They're trying to figure out how to bring it back. But I know that for my time there, I was there for about like 2 years going to the club with my boy, and I saw how it was a really powerful space for young men to come down and just be in community with each other, to hear from people like you and Sam and others who can kind of guide them, where otherwise they're just kind of being guided by their peers and
Yeah.
into all kinds of nonsense. So I just wanted to hear from you, like, what was it that you felt when you stepped in there, and what was it that you were hoping to pass along to the young ones right there?
When I first walked in, I just saw a bunch of kids that that they really did like the sport. You can tell some of them were more quiet than others, so they probably had a little bit more things going on behind them. And I'm not saying I grew up in a tough area, in a tough like household. I grew up by a very loving mom. Granted, she was busy a lot because she had to work and she had to put food on the table. But she was a very loving mom. She's a good mom and a great grandma now. But she did miss a lot, not on purpose, but because she had to work day and she had to work night too. So, I kind of had to find out, not be on the streets like gangbang or anything, but just kind of hang out with different friends, see how they are, and see their experiences. And a lot of the buddies that I grew up with actually turned towards gang life, man. Some of them spent time in jail. Some of them passed away. And the other ones are doing good. I really haven't seen them. They didn't choose a gang life, but it's just it's hard to grow up in an environment where drinking and doing drugs and tagging walls and joining gangs is like that's the it. But to be honest with you, that was never the cool part for me. That I never chose that path.
Hmm. What is it? Because I grew up kind of in a similar dynamic. My mom, she was a single mom. She worked all day. I remember like sitting in front of the elementary school till like 6 o'clock waiting for her to pick us up because that was just what we did. But
Yeah,
but she showed up for us and she made sure that we
yeah,
were good and we had food and we always had a place to stay. But a lot of my friends that I knew in middle school and some of them in high school, they kind of went that route. They're like, just going to get high, going to get drunk. They were partying it up. Some of them were having kids, in high school. It's like from what you've saw in your community and your friends, like what was it that you think kind of leads young men to that direction to go to drugs and gangs and all that?
I think it's just the crowd you're hanging out with. If everyone is telling everybody saying, "Oh, this is cool. Oh, it makes you feel good," and obviously you're gonna want to go down that path. But me, my mom wasn't single because she remarried Alexis Roach's dad, and but he was also busy too, so I didn't really have him as a father figure in my life. But I didn't want to go down that path because I did see my mom, and I cared a lot about my mom. I still do. I didn't want to go down that path and like disappoint her because I didn't know that she was you know I knew for a fact growing up that we were struggling. It wasn't a fact. There's some kids out there that's like, oh, I want this, I want this. I knew I couldn't have it because there was a difference. So like, I would go home, my mom would work day and night, and we lived in a mobile home. Nothing bad with that, but obviously we didn't have a house or anything. And then we would go to my cousin's house. My cousin had a 2-story house. He lived in Mission Viejo. We were happy. My brother and I, my older brother and I, we were happy when we got what was it, like the Nintendo? Remember the ones that used to go and used to
Yeah,
put it
yeah.
in the Nintendo console? So we were super happy when we got our first one. And I remember we would go to my cousin's house, and this guy had the Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, the
Mhm.
all the stuff. I remember if mom were to buy me a toy, I would be excited, be like, oh heck yeah, I got a wrestling toy because we love wrestling. I would go to my cousin's house. They had like all the same toys. They would have the ring, the chairs, the ladders. So I knew for a fact that we were struggling, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's certain markers where you're just like, okay, these people have this.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm lucky to
They have a
get
pool in
this.
their backyard.
Yeah. I think I had similar experiences too. Yeah, again, my mom, she spoiled us though. Like even though we were always like, renting a room in a
Yeah,
family member's house, we always had nice shoes and we always had whatever video game we wanted.
yeah,
So she wanted to spoil us that way. I know for her, she always said, I didn't have that. She was the kind of kid my grandma would leave them at the beach all day while she went to work and they'd go around collecting soda cans.
yeah. Oh man, that's so fair. So it's funny because now I have two kids. I have a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old. And like the 7-year-old, we try to do everything. We've taken him to Disneyland. We've taken him to on vacations to Puerto Vallarta, Cancun, Hawaii, Cabo. The list goes on and on. And we buy him all the toys he wants. We take him to Disneyland Knott's. We're gonna take him on Saturday to Wild Rivers. And we didn't. I didn't grow up like that. I know my wife didn't grow up like that. So and it's funny because sometimes as a parent, you always want to kind of make your kids earn it too. You just don't want to spoil them in a negative way too. Because they're not gonna appreciate stuff like that. And now that I'm 34 years old, I was actually talking to my wife about this yesterday. And my closest friends, his name is Ron Esparza. I was like, now that I'm 34, I'm not saying it's old or anything. I'm still young, but I was like, now that I'm in my 30s, I was like, I learned to appreciate time more. You know, like before I was telling my wife, I was like, before I couldn't wait to because we're gonna go to Wild Rivers on Saturday. And honestly, I'm still a kid at heart. Like
Mhm.
before, I would be like, oh, I can't wait. I wish Friday was here. I wish Saturday was here. Oh, I can't wait for this. And I told my wife, I was like, you know what? I could wait now because I want to be able to enjoy every single day. Every single day. Like yesterday, I was waiting for someone in front of our house, and I was out there for like a good 10 minutes, and I wasn't complaining. I was just like, man, I was just like, out there hanging out and just enjoying my time. And I was like, man, the old me would have been like, oh man, where the heck are they at? This and that. But I don't know, man. Just time goes by so fast. Like people that are watching this video, if you guys are like in your early 20s and your teens, just learn to appreciate time and learn to appreciate your loved ones because you never know when they're not gonna be there.
Mhm. Yeah, when you say that you appreciate time more, like, can you elaborate on that a little bit? What do you mean? What does it mean to appreciate time for you?
Appreciating time is actually spending time with your loved ones. What I'm saying spending time. You don't have to go somewhere fancy. You don't have to go somewhere expensive. You can just chill at your home. You can go to the park. You can go for walks. My family and I, we go on a lot of walks every day. We always talk. I always play tag with my little one, my daughter too. She's always running around. So, time is important, man. Time you'll never get back. Money comes and goes. You can always make more of it, or you're always gonna struggle with money, with bills, with relationships. But that's one of the things that I learned at this stage in my life is nothing's more important than relationships with your loved ones, with your friends, because not everything lasts, man.
Hmm. For sure, man. I think again, in the kind of work that Leslie and I do, what we really try to stress is the importance of like the relationship and the connection that you have with your kids, with your
Yeah,
loved ones, and recognizing the importance of being able to communicate, this is how I'm feeling, this is what is important to
yeah,
me, and having that reciprocated from your loved ones, right? So if you're talking to your kids and saying this is what I care about, we got to be open to hearing our kids and saying this is what
yeah,
they care about
yeah.
and just meeting each other there,
Of course, of course. Like it was funny because I was talking to my oldest and he's like, "Damn, dad," he's like, "This is so much." So on 4th of July, every year 4th of July we make it like a tradition. In the morning we wake up early, we go play kickball. We try to get like 12-on-12 or 10-on-10. So it's like a big crowd, friends and family. So this year we woke up, we all went to go play kickball. We were there from like 10:30 till like I think it was like 1 or 2. I can't remember. We were there for a long time. And then afterwards, we went to my in-laws. We went and then we had a water balloon fight with the kids. We had a water balloon, and it's funny because we actually play like me and my wife. We play. Sometimes I go harder on my kids than I should, and my wife too. And after that, we changed. We had some food. Then we popped a little bit of fireworks, and it was cool because my oldest son came up to me and was like, "Man, Dad," he's like, "This is probably the best 4th of July ever." And I was like, as a parent, it feels good to have your son or your daughter say that. You know, my daughter's still too young; she's only one, but for them to say that, it's like we're doing something right, you know, because we had a good time. They're always gonna remember times like this, you know. If you're a materialistic person, you're always gonna want bigger and better things. Like, okay, I got this car, now I want this car. Okay, I got this house, now I want this house. Okay, I got this shirt, now I want this shirt. So you're always gonna want more. But to me, you know what, man, I'm okay just having clothes from, I don't know, H&M or something like that nature, and just spending more time with my loved ones as opposed to looking at bigger cars, bigger houses, stuff like that.
Yeah, like a game of kickball is for a kid, like playing kickball with your family, with your friends. I think the same thing with my boy. Like anytime in the community where we live, we'd have big events and it would just be like Father's Day, Mother's
Yeah,
Day, Easter, and all the neighbors come together. And like that's memorable. They're gonna come back to that. They're gonna be like, I
yeah.
remember we used to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, and because I remember I was talking to my older brother. I was like, man, dude, I was like, remember when we used to do this at my grandma's house and this? Because now our family, obviously, I don't know how most families are, but our family's kind of broken up now. You know, people went through divorces, people did this, people don't talk, you don't talk. I hardly talk to any of my cousins, I do talk to my uncle. My uncle's the one that actually got me started in boxing. His name is Ramiro Quesada. I see him often. He's actually the one that introduced me to the boxing world, and he's the reason why I wanted to do this. So I'm glad he's still part of my life, you know. And obviously, I still got my friends, my close friends. You know, I got. It's funny because I tell somebody, I was like, you know what, man? I was like, after you go through your ups and downs, and because obviously this life is gonna be ups and downs, no matter what. uh I've finally found you finally your real friends and your real support system are gonna stick by you. And I told my wife, I was like, man, I'm just so thankful that we have these friends, because I told somebody this the other day, man. I used to have a bunch of friends. I used to have a bunch of people that I used to hang out with when I was like doing good in boxing, when all this. And then this person stayed quiet. He's like, you know what, man? He's like, it's better to have quarters than a bunch of pennies. And I was like, oh damn, that's a good saying. So like I said, I can tell everybody, man, I was like, I'm glad I have the support system I have right now. And anybody out there that's trying to do something in their life, you don't need to have a big crowd with you. You don't need to have a big support system. Just keep the ones that have supported you through thick and thin, and make sure you hold on to them, because those relationships are important. Those relationships to me are worth more than money.
Mhm. That's beautiful, man. Yeah, I know that we keep a close circle too. We have a lot of acquaintances, obviously, in the kind of work that we do, talking to lots of different people. But when it comes to who we can really count on to be there when we need some support,
Yeah,
like those people, you need them, like
of
they're
course, of course.
vital. I wanted to kind
Yeah.
of, oh, go ahead.
No, no, no. You go ahead. You go ahead.
So I wanted to kind of double back. You were talking about, sorry, can you repeat the name of was it Rios? No, not Rios.
Uncle Ramiro Quesada.
Ramiro, thank you, Ramiro Quesada.
Yeah,
So, like, I wanted to talk a little bit about who were some of those figures for you growing up that, Leslie has a saying, or like in some of the workshops that we do, we talk about what parents want to be for their kids, right? How
yeah,
parents want to show up for their kids. And we start by asking people, all right, what was your experience like as a kid? And what are some words you would use to describe yourself? And usually you'll get some kind of mixed responses. You'll get people saying, I was very spunky, I was funny, but you'll also hear them like I was anxious, I was scared, I was insecure. And then we'll follow up by saying, who was an adult that made you feel good? Who was an adult that made you feel safe and loved and protected
yeah,
and supported? And so I kind of want to pose those questions to you. You can answer them in whatever order you want, but like, how was it for you as a kid growing up? Like, what was your experience? And then who were some of the adults in your life that helped you see a positive
yeah,
example? You know what I mean?
yeah. So somebody that did help me out when I was a kid, and unfortunately we're not in good terms anymore, was my previous coach. He actually did help me out a lot when I was a little kid. But he helped me out a lot. Obviously, my uncle helped me out. My older brother, Salvador Rios, he helped me out a lot. He still actually helps me out to this day. Um, we always have like heart to heart conversations. Like those people help me out. Actually, there's two other people that have really helped me out at speaking. Like three, I would say. I would have to say my wife. That's she's probably my best friend. She actually helps me communicate. She helps me a lot because I do make mistakes. I'm not. No one's perfect. I do make mistakes. There's times where I snap, or there's times where I'm impatient, or there's times just like it's just like life. You're gonna have your ups and downs, and she helps me communicate. She's always telling me like, what, we let's talk through it. What's wrong? She helps me out a lot, and then two other people that do help me out a lot too is Robert Esparza, and they also call him Bobby, and Ron Esparza. They're related. They actually help me out a lot, and people that continue to help me out were my sponsors for this last fight. Man, it was like they helped me out tremendously. You got Top Finish, the Collision Center, which is on 17th and Main. They helped me out tremendously, and then you got GC and D Auto Glass and Electronics that they also helped me out. In order to get ready for a fight, man, it's not just easy. It's not like you just go out there, you just train, you eat right, you sleep. It takes a lot of people to help you get ready, whether it's from like your parents, like my mom that helped me out, whether my suegros that helped me out because I'm a dad. I have got two kids. I can't just go to the gym and take my kids with me. I can't go run and take my kids with me. And then they help me out a lot because they take care of my kids and they treat my kids very, very good. My wife cooks for me. My wife sometimes cleans up after me, So it takes a whole group of people to
Yeah.
help you get ready for a fight. It's not just you up there, when I go out there, I'm taking the people that have helped me with me. Yeah. And yeah, at the same time, there has been some fights where you do get nervous and it's hard to control those nerves. But now I feel like it's easier for me because it's not just me up there anymore. Physically it is just you up there, but emotionally, everybody helps you get ready for this fight, man. For a fight.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you giving flowers to your people and the importance of having a village, like you said, especially when you got a family and you're trying to make sure that they're taken care of. I wanted to go back to you were mentioning for you early on, it was you said your brothers and your uncle, yeah, that were kind of like really instrumental. Like, can you
Yeah.
talk a little about what was your relationship like with those men in your life and how did they support you? Like, how did they help you to kind of become who you are?
Well, they always help me push me. They always used to help me mentally. Like, hey, you know what? I remember my uncle always used to tell me, hey, he already lost. You just got to go out there and you got to tell him. So that helped me out. My brother helped me out as far as like, oh, sometimes you get nervous. Like, hey, it's okay to get nervous. My uncle, my older brother, when earlier on, he used to put me through some hard workouts, like very hard workouts. And I feel like that helped me out a lot because you know when you're tired, when you kind of like, okay, that's good, but you still got a lot to go. You mentally get strong. You're like, hey, you know what, dude, like you still got a lot way you still got a long way to go. Like you better suck it up and you better go. And there's a difference between doing it and actually doing it. Like you can't just go out there and just train, just be like a robot. You gotta be passionate. You gotta have that spark. That's the difference. There's two things. There's two ways. There were some fights that I was getting ready for, but I was just like, win or lose. There was some fights that I won that I won boring, but I was just getting through it. And then there's some fights that you're just like, oh hell yeah, you got that spark. You're like, I want to go out there and I want to look sensational. And that's kind of the road I've been feeling lately. Since I did retire when I lost the world title. And I didn't want to do this anymore, man. I was just like, I was checked out. And then time went by and I missed the sport. And then everybody that supported me but from day one continued to support me, even though I had lost. And I was just like, you know what, dude? I was like, the nerves went away. I was like, let's go do this. I'm doing this. I want to say for myself, but also take my family with me too, because if I know that if I'm successful, they're gonna benefit from it too.
Hmm. Yeah, I was listening to, I think you did it was like a mini documentary, Under the Wraps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With Albert,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Albert Alina, cool people. I still keep in touch with them, man.
Yeah, I was watching that and just kind of seeing the journey and hearing the stories of, how you were moving through that moment and,
Yeah,
how that has a big impact on you. But I think what I wanted to, you know what, and again, just kind of like bring it back to the conversation that we're trying to have here is like there's certain ideas of what you do as a man, right? And I'm
yeah.
sure I'm sure in boxing there's certain sort of same morals. Like as a boxer, this is how you move through the sport, and this is how you show up. I want to hear from you, like just early on in your life, like what were some of those values that you were taught, about this is how a man shows up, and who taught them to you, and how do you feel about those kinds of values today? Have you evolved at all from what you were taught early on to how you see yourself today as a man and how you show up?
I mean, to be honest with you, I had to kind of evolve because growing up, I grew up in a Mexican household. It's like, oh, the guy has to take care of the family. The guy has to take care of the family, which I still believe is a strong case. But also, your wife has to help you too. It's when you get married, it's not just one person taking care of the whole family. It's a team effort, and I think that's one of the things that I grew up, especially in a Hispanic background, was the man, the man, the man. There, with all the pressures put on the man.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case anymore. I
Can you
think it is,
talk can you talk a
huh?
little bit like what can you talk about like some examples of like who were the men that you saw showing up in that way and how did they show up? You know what I mean? Like kind of give like if you have any like
Yeah.
stories that kind of stand out to you of what that looked like.
It's kind of hard because my dad wasn't a really my parents divorced, so I don't really. And then Alexis Roach's dad, I saw him working a lot. I spoke to him, but it wasn't like I had that communication with him. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard. But I would have to say, my previous coach, he did give me a lot of instrumental advice. He did help me out a lot. But as far as that, I just learned now that I'm older. Just you listen to people because you never want to be rude, or you never want to say, you never want to listen from advice that people are trying to give, and you're like, no, no, you never want to say, no, no, no. I don't think that's what you did. No, you listen, you take it in, and then you go home, you think about it, okay, maybe that might work for that person, but you're gonna have to tweak it. You're gonna have to find your own ways because somebody that somebody that bought their house or made their living, a construction work as a construction worker, as I don't know, something like that, because that's what most of the people I knew growing up, they they're not gonna be able to give you advice on how to win a world championship. You know what I mean? It's like it's different aspects, different areas. It's like I can't give a mom advice on how to be a mom because I'm not a mom, I'm a dad, vice versa. I can't go up to a doctor and tell a doctor how to operate. I've never gone to school. So it's like you gotta listen to the people that are trying to give advice, good or bad, doesn't matter. You never wanna disagree with somebody in their face and then take it and just try to apply it to the way you're doing it, whether it's you're trying to become a doctor, professional fighter, football player, listen to that advice. How to eat healthier, stay up, don't
Okay.
stay up late. You always gotta learn, you always gotta listen to it, take it in, like try it, and if it works on you, then continue to do it. If it doesn't, then obviously, it was worth a try.
Hmm.
Because like I'm saying, man, whatever worked in the past is gonna change because we're in a different era now. Everything is different now,
Yeah.
whether good or bad. Whether good or bad. You just gotta learn to adapt and move forward. You know,
Hmm.
like I always tell people, not just in the boxing ring, but in life, you don't lose until you give up on yourself. That's when you lose. If I go out there in the future and I lose a fight, you know what, dude? I tried everything I could. I gave it my all. I go home. That's it. I'm not gonna come back home. I'm not gonna be a robot and be a terrible father, a terrible husband, or break down like I did in the past. You don't lose until you give up on yourself. That's the way I like to look at it.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that, like again, because really the conversation we're trying to open up for men here is when you hit those walls, when you hit those moments where you feel like breaking down and shutting down and becoming a robot. I feel like I know for me, I didn't have examples of like this is how you move through it, this is how you grieve, this is how you process whatever like pain you're dealing with. I didn't see that happen.
Yeah.
And even like on my mom's side, like there weren't any examples for me of when shit hits the fan, here's how you process and here's how you're gonna move forward. So I'm wondering, like, did you see that growing up? And if you didn't, when you hit that moment as a boxer, what lessons did you learn through that about how to move through these kinds of things?
You want to know how to move? You have to find that way. That's the thing. Everybody can give you advice. Anybody can give you help. But it's not until you decide to say, you know what, I'm gonna be damned if I let my story finish here. It's all about you want. It's your will to move forward, to keep moving forward. Whether you're struggling with bills, you gotta pull through. You gotta come home. You still gotta be a dad. You still gotta be a husband. You still gotta be a friend. You still gotta be a brother. No matter what it is in life, it's your will. A will is a very powerful thing, man. You can either take a loss and quit in life, or you can just get back up and you can continue. That's what it is. It's a will, man. People always say my will was strong. People, a lot of people don't know the meaning of that. They just say like, they don't. But when you see somebody lose, in a fight or their job, or they start losing, you hear. I've read so many different stories about like, I was actually just talking to this about my close friend yesterday. I was like, look, man, I was like, you hear about all these stories, you read about all these stories about perfect example. Halle Berry. Do you know who Halle Berry is?
Mm-hmm.
She's a famous actress. She's well off now. But when she first started acting, she was homeless. A lot of people don't know that. She could have easily just, what, I quit, but she didn't. She lived in her car. She continued to work. She continued to act. And look where she's at now.
Mm-hmm. But what was it for you that helped you push through? Like, I know you're
The
saying
will, baby.
it was just
The
like you
will
just
to
like you just tapped into it. Like, what was it that
Yeah,
helped you
tap
kind of wake
into
that up?
the will, the will, and honestly, you don't put pressure on yourself either. I think that's one of the most important parts. Is like whether you're putting pressure on yourself or whether someone else is putting pressure on yourself, you gotta put a stop to it. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, you gotta put a stop to it. If you have somebody else that's physically or mentally abusing you, you have to put your foot down. And say, you know what? If you're gonna continue to act like this, you need to get out of my life, or you need to find another way out. There's always ways, guys. There's always ways. I remember back then, before the Diego fight, before I was in such a tough situation, and I just kept pulling through, and I fought my way out of there. Nothing's different from now, man. You just gotta keep fighting. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
I can give all the advice to everybody. Hey, you know what? But until you want to pick yourself up and move forward, it's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. I wanted to talk, switch gears a little bit. Again, you're a dad, you got two children, and I know for me, my story when my son was born, it wasn't expected. I was 21 years old. I was in college. I met my girl at the time,
Yeah.
and we just had to figure it out, you know. And so we were able to manage. My boy, he's gonna be 10 in August now, and
Nice.
we're real tight. We got a great connection. It's not perfect. I don't think any parent-child relationship is perfect. There's always gonna be lessons to learn, you
Yeah.
know. But I'm curious to hear, like, what was your story becoming a dad, and what was that journey like for you? Did you feel confident becoming a dad? Was it a bumpy road for you? What are some lessons that you've learned from your first child to your second child?
Well, it was a bumpy road because ours was planned, but even when they're planned, not everything works out smoothly. I remember when he was born, we had a rough patch financially, and that's when I got into the whole pickle. And you just gotta learn your way in between before, and the difference is also too is like not all the kids are gonna be the same. My first kid was such a great baby. He listened, he did everything, but he was a crybaby. The first like 6 or 8 months, he kept us up countless nights from crying because he had colics. And I remember I told my wife, I was like, you know what, Bill? I was like, I don't want another one because I had to get ready for fights, and I was getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, maybe three, because he would cry a lot. And I told my wife, I was like, you know what, babe? And actually, there was a point where he was crying a lot. So my wife and my son moved to my in-laws, because I had to get ready for a fight. And then I told my wife, I was like, you know what, babe? I was like, I kind of don't want it anymore. She's like, okay, I agreed. So then time went by, and she's like, hey, baby. She's like, what if they're different? And I was like, yeah. She's like, what if the second one's quiet? Sure enough, the second one did come, and she was different. She was best baby, never cried. Now that she's 1 year old, oh my gosh, she's doing stuff that her brother never did. And I was like, damn, I was like, it's a headache. Like we constantly have to be watching her. So not two kids are gonna be the same, even if they're the same parents. They're always gonna be different. You
Mhm.
got one that was tough when he was a baby, but he's been after 6 months, he's been the best kid. He listens. Sure, he's not always gonna listen, but he listens. He's very playful. He's very affectionate. He's always telling you. He comes up to me to this day. He actually came up to me this morning. He's like, "Dad, I love you so much." And I was like, just to hear that, it's monumental moment in my life. Like he says it constantly throughout the day. He's like, "Hey, Dad, I love you. Dad, I love you." and then the baby, yeah, she's a pain, but she always wants me to carry her. She always wants, she cries at night, and she always wants me to pick her up, and it's a blessing. People always tell me like, "Oh man, how does it?" Like my wife always asks me, "How does it feel like?" Because she tries to calm her down, but she can't. So she's like, "Oh, here, she wants you." She's like, "I'm sorry, baby. Like I tried." And it's like, no, I was like, "Don't be sorry. Like it's cool, because she always wants to come with me. Like this morning, she only wanted me to pick her up. So it's hard, but it's rewarding.
Yeah. What you were sharing about like you know, first child kind of being really stressful, right? With the
Yeah,
crying and the not I know for me when I was gonna have my son, I was studying psychology. I was working with kids as a like I was working as a student support paraprofessional in school. So
yeah,
like I had a lot of interaction with kids, but I'd never been with a baby. I didn't know how to navigate being with the baby. And so a lot of it was like learning as I went. And now that I'm older, and especially like a lot of the work that I'm doing with my girl right now at Latinx
right,
parenting, understanding like the developmental stages of what's appropriate when a kid is a certain age, what to
yeah.
expect, how to navigate that. And like you said, no two kids are the same. It's not like you're
No,
gonna read a book and figure out every kid, but kind of again just seeing, oh, I could have done this right here and that might have been a better approach, and I could have done this right here and that might have been a better approach. So I'm wondering like for you, and you were sharing how early on when you were trying to prep for some fights and you have a baby that's kind of adding stress to that and having to decide prioritize, right? Like for the sake of my family, I
yeah,
might have to step away from this over here to focus on the fight that's going to be providing for my family.
yeah.
So I'm wondering for you, like, what was that struggle like trying to navigate your family and the work that you're trying to do? And again, like what are some of the things that you learned along the way about how to navigate the development of your babies?
I mean, it's very, very tough because we get a lot of help. So, and I'm thankful for the help, but it's like sometimes, like you said, you got to step away, whether get ready for a fight because somebody can sit there and be like, oh, well, I had a baby, I had a full-time job. It's like, yeah, but you weren't trying to win a world title. So, because I've had some people tell me that, like, oh, well, you got to man up. It's like, oh, really? Like, how many fights did you have? Oh, I didn't have any fights. Like, okay, then you can't tell. I'm not gonna go up to a doctor. Or I'm not gonna go up to somebody that I don't know what the heck I'm doing, because I can't do your job. So I'm not gonna try and give you advice on it. And I can just tell you, hey, good luck. But like you said, man, not two kids are the same, and you just gotta find a way because there is a way, and but there's a lot of sacrifice. That's what a lot of people don't know. Sacrifice, like you said, what's something that I learned is time is valuable. Time is very valuable because that time that I could be with my family, wife, my kids, I'm never gonna get that back. You know, yeah, you can spend time with them after the fight, but you got to keep in mind a training camp's like 8 to 10 weeks, so they're gonna get older. So you're gonna miss those moments. Like I look at pictures now when my boy was younger, and I was like, man, I missed a lot because I was always getting ready for fights. And it's like I don't regret it because my wife supported me, and even if she didn't, this is something that I'm trying to accomplish, and I'm something that I'm still trying to accomplish. So, like I said, for anybody out there, if you're trying to do something, make sure you do it. But just know that there will be consequences. Like that's one of my biggest regrets. How somebody was telling me, it's like, oh, what's one of your biggest regrets? I was like, obviously, time, losing time with my family.
And do you feel like, because in the work that I do, it's a little bit more like community based, I'll do a lot of organizing for demonstrations and
Yeah,
campaigns and things like that. And I have to take time away from my boy. Or sometimes
yeah,
I would bring my boy along and I know he's not loving it because that's
yeah,
not what he wants to be doing. He wants to be playing somewhere. He wants to go swimming.
yeah,
And there's a part of me that's like hoping that he's gonna understand when he's older. Like the
yeah.
work that we were doing was to lay foundation and to set precedent for what he might build on one day later. It's like I'm wondering, like, how do you feel about that with your kids? Do you feel like they appreciate what you're doing and recognize that time away is for something, is for them, or like what's that dynamic like?
No, I know. My oldest appreciates it because he's always tells me, Dad, after your fight, I understand you have to get ready, and he tells me all the time, like, I want you to be ready, Dad. You got to go out there and you got to win. I was like, but after the fight, so he knows. He knows. And I know when he gets older, he's gonna learn. He's gonna know. So I'm not guilty about that, but I'm just like you, for instance. I'm pretty. Do you feel guilty when you have to bring your boy along and he's like bored?
Yeah, I feel like I know he'd rather be somewhere else.
Yeah, right.
And at the same time,
At times, do you feel like a bad parent?
yeah, for sure. There's
Yeah.
parts where we feel like we could be showing up differently.
Yeah, but you also got to keep in mind that you're trying you're thinking of yourself because I do too. You're thinking of yourself as a bad parent, because we're not at the park or because I didn't take him here. But at the same time, it's like you're spending time. You're trying to show your son something. Not everything is gonna be fun. There's gonna be some. And that's life. It's not all gonna be fun. It's what we make out of it. But if you take your boy and you try to make it fun, hey, you should do this. Like my son hates to walk, and I always tell I make my son walk, because I don't want my son to be unhealthy and stuff like that. Because couple almost and October 28th, my
Hey,
we
that's what
lost my brother-in-law. No, we lost my brother-in-law, and a lot of it had to do with diabetes, and there was a point in his life that he was heavier. And I always told my wife, like, I don't want our son to go down a similar path like that, so I want to make sure. I don't care how he looks, as long as he's healthy, that's all that matters. But obviously we know for a fact that you can't be eating a lot of junk food and be healthy, so I was trying to limit his junk food, take him on walks. I've been taking him on swimming a lot. He's been swimming a lot now, so he knows how to swim now. It was like yesterday. Our friends asked him, "Oh, you know how to swim now?" He's like, "Yeah." He was all happy. He's like, "Who showed you?" And he points. He was like, "My dad showed me." So it was like it's cool. Like he sees that. Like I tell him, like, "Hey, I'm gonna take you for some laps." He's like, "Yeah, Dad. Oh, heck yeah." He's like, "Let's go for 20 laps." I was like, "Okay, Lou." So not everything's gonna be fun, man. That's life. They have to learn it too. And it's like, and I always tell him, because he's always like, "Dad, what are we gonna do this weekend?" I was like, Nico, I was like, not everything is fun. He's like, "I know, Dad." And I tell him, like, you know what? The most important thing in life is. He's like, "What, Dad?" I was like, "That we spend time together." And when we spend time together, I tell him, I was like, it's not always fun. So we can be at the house, we can go for walks, we can go to the beach, we can go to the park, because I take my son to the park a lot. I take my kids to the park a lot, and believe it or not, I actually do play tag with them. A 34-year-old guy playing tag with them. But like I said, I want my kids to remember when they're older that their dad was there from, that their dad played with them. I play with my son at the house. We do all kinds of stuff. I play Nintendo Switch with them. I want my son, when he's my age, to say, "Damn, my dad was always there. My dad played with me. My dad spent time with me." But at the same time, my dad showed me a lot of valuable stuff too.
hmm Yeah, man, I resonate a lot with that because I'm same. I'm 32 this year, and
Mhm.
same like you'll see me running around the park playing with water guns with the kids
Yeah,
and
yeah,
climbing up on
same
the jungle gyms.
here.
Like that's me. And what you were saying though too, because there's a misconception when people think of the word discipline and when it comes to parenting. They think
Yeah,
discipline means check your kid when they're stepping out of bounds.
yeah,
What we try to tell parents is discipline is like the original root is to teach,
yeah,
right? To teach and to instill values. And so like you was telling your boy, hey, there's certain eating habits that we want to follow and we want to stay active and we want to learn how
yeah,
to look out for ourselves. That's a discipline. You're teaching your kid to discipline their mind and their body, right? And I think that that is something that we try to juggle as parents. Like you said, we want to have fun with our kids. We also want to teach them discipline. And
yeah,
for some parents, they struggle with that line.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. I feel like a lot of parents, there's times too where I am tired, so I would fall in that category where you kind of just want to be left alone. You don't want to spend time with your parent, with your kids, with your wife. Like I tell my wife all the time, and she understands. That's one of the reasons why my hat goes out to my wife. Like I told my wife, like, "Hey, babe, there's times where I'm tired. Granted, I'm not eating a lot, and I just want to be left alone." And she'll grab the kid, she'll get the kids, and she'll go to her mom's. I'll say, "Hey, you know what, babe, just rest up." Like instead of like coming at me and just like, "No, babe, like you have to be a family man first, and this and that." So
Mhm.
my hat goes out to my wife, man. She freaking helps me out tremendously. Um, Same thing with my mom, my suegros, like freaking even my brother-in-law helps me out a lot, man. Like they're always taking me, they help me with my kids, because it is tiring, man. It's tiring working out 2 times a day, 4, 5, 6 hours a day. And then, it sucks because yeah, you gotta stay disciplined, but sometimes you want a donut, sometimes you want to eat a burger, but you can't, and you're like, damn it, like a couple more weeks. So that's all part of the process, but it's falls into the same category.
And that's something that, again, we also stress that point too of the community, the support. Parents have, I think there's this idea of like the nuclear family, right?
Yeah,
Mom, dad, kids. And the mom's got to be there for the kids. And if the mom's not there, the dad's got to be there for the kids. And that's it. And we're like, no, bring in the tios, bring in the tias, bring in the suegras,
yeah,
bring in the neighbors, bring in your partners in your space and your work.
yeah,
That's how you're gonna sustain being able to be present for your kids and be your
yeah.
best self. If
Yeah,
you're always there, then you're just gonna be burned out.
I mean, you'll be burned out, but it's cool because of, like, a lot of our friends. So we have a group of friends that, so when our son started going to kindergarten, we became real good friends with another one of his classmates, and we actually still hang out the following year, which is first grade. They weren't even in the same grade, but we still hung out and we still hang out. They actually went to my last fight, man. Chris and Ellie, like, cool people. But we hang out often, and like I said, man, that's just one of the things, in my opinion, that you have to do to enjoy life is just find a good group. Go hang out with that group. Try to keep that group as close as you can because you know it makes everything much funner. Like, I can't stress about that more. A lot of people are probably like, oh, you talk about a lot about that, but when you lose somebody that you were close to, it kind of wakes you up.
Yeah, you recognize the value that they had and what they
Yeah,
offered you.
yeah,
I wanted to ask you again, so you have a son and you have a daughter, yeah?
yes,
So
sir.
I wanted to kind of just pick your brain about, again, for me growing up, I didn't have a dad. My dad was deported when I was 3 years old. There's a whole story there. You actually kind of look like him a little bit. Like I think
The
the beard and the
beard. Is that why you grew out
brows.
the beard?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, so my dad, he was out of the picture, but I had people like my uncles who were really close. They were in high school when I was growing up, and I remember them showing me all kinds of music and
Yeah,
art and movies. And my uncle would like he'd play with us, like he'd play video
yeah,
games and he'd play tag with us. So when I was older and I had my boy, and I'm trying to connect, like I had that to lean on, right? Those examples of this is how I want to
yeah,
be with my boy and show up for my boy. But then I also had to like learn on my own, like these are things that I also want to show my boy. And as a dad, this is how I want to show up, right? So I wanted to hear, and I'll ask you about your daughter next, but I want to hear from you specifically about your boy. Like, what was it? What were some of the examples that you saw early on for you, like people trying to be, in relationship with you growing up and how they showed up for you that you wanted to carry on for your son? And is there anything that you felt like you wanted to correct? We always talk about like breaking cycles.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so what were some of the things that you saw growing up where you're like, I definitely wanted to make sure that my son sees that too? And
yeah.
what were some of the things where you're like, I want to do this different?
Okay, so one of the things that we used to do when I was a little kid, because you got to remember, we kind of struggled too financially. So a lot of things, like, I remember me, my uncles, my older cousins, my older brother, we used to wrestle in the front yard on grass. That was one of the things we used to wrestle. We used to play tag. We used to play, I don't know, we used to make up like cops and robbers and make up stories. That's what we used to play. We used to go like hiking. That's how I was raised. I didn't have a phone until I was in high school. I didn't have that many game consoles. My son is in a different era where freaking, you play consoles, you play, I don't know what is it, Roblox, and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I had to kind of figure it out. I do try to make my son active, but at the same time, it's like everybody else is playing freaking Roblox and all this stuff that I don't even know about. And it's like he's like, I want to play this. Dad is okay. So you kind of have to make that adjustment. That in my time, we were always out. It was very rarely when we were at the house. When I was like in high school, middle school, I would be playing tag. We would be riding bikes. That's not how it is nowadays. Nowadays, they're behind computer screens, and that's one of the adjustments that I had to make because I always tell my boy, like, come on, you gotta stop being lazy. He's like, well, dad, he's like, everybody's playing. Like, I'm playing with so and so. Like, they're on live. They're online. I was like, oh man. I was like, That's one of the adjustments. Like, I'm not saying make your kids completely lazy, but we also have to see that time has evolved too. you know, the times of people outside on bicycles or playing tag are very rarely nowadays.
Yeah, with my boy, he was big on Roblox,
Yeah,
and he liked playing Minecraft. He liked Fortnite. When I played video games growing up, it was just me and my brothers and my cousins.
not
Today,
online, no.
yeah, so now he's online. And so, like you said, all of his friends, my friends get like 3 hours a day, and you're only giving me
Yeah,
like 30 minutes, Dad. Come on. And I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, but I'm gonna take you to the park and we're gonna go run around. And for him, he's like,
it's,
I don't want to do that. I want to be playing with my
yep.
friends. So
Yeah, they got to
I
go apart.
For real. So I hear that in terms of an adjustment. I also feel like those are some of those moments where we have to choose as parents. Do we go with what his peers are doing and what other families are normalizing? Do I give him a tablet when we're at a party and just so that he'll leave me alone? Or do I go against the grain and try to tell him, no, we're going to do things differently because I know this is what is best for you?
Yeah,
And then, like you said, kind of deciding, is it me just kind of deciding for you?
yeah,
Or is this like really a decision that we're basing on what is best?
yeah.
There's that
Yeah,
line where,
well, going back to the family party, so we had this quinceañera a couple weeks ago, and it was in a hall right there off of Main and Edinger. You know where the Jack in the Box? Have you ever seen that?
hmm,
They have a hall on the second floor on the corner.
yeah, another one.
So my brother-in-law rented that space, and they threw a quinceañera, and my son was playing with all of his cousins, friends, and they were running around. And then my wife was like, "Hey, don't be running around with these people." And I was like, "You know what, babe? Just let them." I just let them because they're all sweating at the party, and I was like, "That's I remember my childhood at that freaking quinceañera, sweating, running around, playing tag. I don't know what they were playing, and like to see them, it was cool. And they didn't ask for the tablet, they didn't ask for the phone. I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, that's how you have to play. That's how we played, and that's how you want and stuff. I'm not saying be a contradict your kid. No, not contradict, but be like a narcissistic person was like, I did this, you're gonna do this. No, man, time has evolved. Like we have to learn that things have changed since we were little kids. We don't want people don't watch Power Rangers anymore or Rugrats or freaking. We used to watch what was it? Rocket Power. I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember that. We used to
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
that stuff.
I think we were on the
Nowadays, things
same
are different.
generation of cartoons, you and me.
Yeah, 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 Rocket or Doug. You remember Doug?
Yeah, yeah. Doug. I remember all the morning cartoons. But yeah, like there's that, and I think this is like a kind of different conversation. And we talk about this too, about there is an introduction of technology, internet usage, social media, YouTube, TikTok,
Yeah,
IG. And this is all brand new. This is like within the last 5 years, we saw just an eruption of social media becoming so normalized, and every kid is growing up expecting to have a phone by the time they hit middle school.
yeah,
And so there is that question of, are we just going to go along with it, or are we going to have to set some boundaries based on what we feel is best for our kids? And I know for me, like again, my boy, I've told him, you ain't getting the cell phone for a good while. You don't need it. When it comes to video games, you're going to have this much time, and then I need you to go read a book, go play
yeah,
outside, go do something where
yeah.
you're away from a screen. So that's a different conversation. But yeah, if you want to, if you have like any final thoughts on that, like how do you navigate the evolution of technology and internet and all that with your kids right now?
I mean, that's a good question. For sure, I don't let my son go on social media, like, because I know times have evolved, and as a parent, you hear about all these stories about pedophiles and stuff like that, and how they lure kids in, and I'll be damned if I let my kid try to be lured in by doing that. My boy and my girl. So I was like, that's why I refuse to give him a phone, maybe till he's older. Um, if he's gonna play online, I would tell him, hey, don't be talking to anybody, don't be sending them don't be responding to messages, because we also gotta keep an eye out for our kids too, man. You hear about all these weird stories, all these pedophilia that's going up, and that's what I'm saying. It's like the stand has to start now.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree, man. And again, that's something that I feel like there's people who are specifically working in that field, and we're trying to incorporate a little bit more of that conversation in our work because a lot of
Yeah,
parents just don't know. A lot of parents don't know what to know, what to expect to see out there, how to navigate that. But yeah, again, like I feel like that's a different conversation. Uh,
It is.
yeah, I wanted to kind of bring it back to what we were saying about like raising a boy, right?
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you see about what your boy is learning about masculinity, right? How to show up as a man that you feel is what are those aspects of masculinity that you try to reinforce? And what are some of those aspects of masculinity that you might challenge? So I'll give you an example from mine, right? Like my boy, he's got shoulder length hair. It's like down to here, and he's always had it
Yeah.
like that since he was little. He gets called a girl all the time. And I have to correct people like, nah, it's my boy, he's just got long hair. And I've had to teach him like, hey, there's a norm, right? Boys have short hair, girls have long hair. They're gonna think you're a girl. It doesn't make you any less of a boy or a man. It's just these are sort of the expectations that our society has for
Yeah.
how a boy is. So I have to kind of correct him in that. Otherwise, he's gonna be like, I need to cut my hair because I'm a boy, you know?
Oh man, tell him watch wrestling. Most of the wrestlers have long hair.
Yeah, yeah. But again, like that's kind of my question for you
Yeah.
is like there are certain ideas of what it is to be a man, be strong, be brave, be a protector, be a provider that I think are valuable. And then there are other aspects of how to be a man, like don't show your emotions, be dominant and all this
Yeah.
and that, where I feel like sometimes there should be a little pushback. So I'm wondering for you, like, what are those kind of conversations with your boy of like, this is how you show up and this is what you might want to be careful about as a man?
Well, my boy, I was just trying to install that he has to focus. He has to find something when he gets older to do. Because that's my priority. I want my son to have a good career, something that he's gonna like. And I always tell him all the time, like, oh, you want to do something that you're gonna enjoy and you're gonna make money. And he tells me like, oh, I'm a big gamer. See, back then somebody would have been like, oh, you can't be a gamer. But I grew up loving boxing. That's what I do for a living nowadays. So I was like, "Yeah, if you want to be a gamer, then go for it. But you gotta do whatever you gotta do to get there." So okay, Dad. So it's just we live in a different time where I'm not gonna tell my boy like, oh, your wife has to stay home. You do this and she has to clean. No, man, because I also have a girl too. Like I also have to teach my girl. I also have to teach my girl too that she can depend on the guy. I don't want my girl to depend on. I don't want my baby girl to depend on the guy. I wanna, you know, it's not just the guys anymore that are just strong and they're gonna take care of their family. It's also the girls too, man. The girls have always been there, but now they're coming into a role now that's more acceptable for them to be the breadwinner. And it's okay because I got a baby girl and I want my baby girl to be well off too, you know. So it's like I don't know, I guess we have to evolve with these times, I want my girl to go to school and if she wants to fight because it looks like she's gonna want to fight more than her brother, she can
That's
do it.
that's gonna be your protege.
I don't know. I'm not gonna force it on her. If she wants to do
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
I'll encourage her to do it. If not, I just want to make sure that my kids are well off, my kids are happy.
yeah, yeah.
And to me, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I don't want my kids to live a life because I don't want my kids to live a certain life because that's what I would have wanted to do.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool. I don't want to inflict what I wanted besides boxing, like the cars, the clothes, on my kids. I want my kids to do and be whatever they want to be. That's why you got to say that the U.S. is one of the best places because you can be whatever you want to be.
Yeah, we would definitely have a lot of opportunity.
Freedom,
Yeah, a lot
yeah,
of opportunities that we
opportunity
can
and
do things.
freedom, baby. That's why the land of America, man. That's why boy or girl, you can do whatever you want to do. Back then people always see all boxers, but if you're looking now, there's girls that are making millions of dollars off one fight too. So
Mhm.
they're proven fact that you can do whatever you want. It's not just a man or a woman's world anymore.
Yeah. Well, again, just to kind of to final like a final point on that question of like again specifically for your boy, what I'm hearing from you is your main focus with your kids is be whatever you want to be and work for it, right?
Heck yeah,
It, are there any specific conversations about like I know with my boy, he's gonna be 10 and he still hasn't like expressed any interest in girls yet. Like he's still like in that kind of kid stage, right?
yeah,
Middle school might be a different story. But I make sure that I plant those seeds in his head of like when you are talking to girls, treat them with respect, treat them
yeah, yeah,
like you're equal. And if there's examples on TV that I see are just like a gross representation of how a man is showing up, I make sure he knows like that's not it. You know,
Yeah.
don't be this guy. So I'm wondering, like, do you have any of those conversations with your boy right now, or is that still something that you're kind of waiting to evolve organically? You know?
I'm waiting on that area, but he does come home and he does tell me like, "Oh, Dad, I have a girlfriend." So yeah, like he'll be like, "Oh, Dad, I have a girlfriend," and then time will go by, and like I'll ask him, "Hey, what's up with your girlfriend, so and so?" Say, "Oh, I don't know, Dad. I kind of feel another girl." Say, "Hey," and he'll tell me like, "Oh, this girl does, this girl, me and this girl talk, and we have similar interests." Say, "Hey, but don't tell mom, okay? Don't tell mom." So like, all right, I won't tell her about it. And but nah, you know what, man? We just gotta give them the freedom. Your kids or your children will surprise you by their actions if you give them the freedom, if you give them the chance. Instead of trying to make them do the way you think it's right, they'll surprise you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I hear that. And we're at like 1:15 right now, so I want to respect your time. I did want to again go back to your daughter. And so like
yeah.
for you, the daughter was the eldest, or was
No,
the
yes.
son was the oldest? Okay. So and how old are they, by the way? I didn't get the ages for.
So my boy is 7 and my girl's 1.
Okay, so 7 and 1. All right, so
Yeah,
you still got some moments to run into
yeah,
the
yeah.
girl, right? She's still a baby. I want to hear though, like in just that year that you've had her, like has there been any kind of perspective shift for you as a dad, raising your boy those 7 years and just first year with your daughter? Was there any differences that you noted? And
Oh, day and night,
yeah, go ahead.
day and night. My boy, listen, my girl does. My girl does whatever she wants to do, and she's freaking. She does some dangerous stuff that scares the crap out of me. Like we have this little cart that she's supposed to sit on it and use her legs to move it. Like the little carts. She doesn't do that at all. She stands on it, and it's like it has 4 wheels. Like she can fall, and that's one of the things that's like, oh man, she does that. She does stuff that she tries to get knives. She's
Dang.
a handful. You have to constantly be looking at her. She's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But she's violent too. Like she'll come up to me and I always feel like, oh, I'll turn to Spanish, like, oh, give me a kiss. And she'll give me a kiss and then she'll slap me afterwards.
Yeesh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So she's a little fighter.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'll be curious to hear how she grows up and what she turns into.
I'll let you know when that happens because right now she is something else.
Yeah,
So
well, there's what is it? There's positives there, right? To know that
yeah,
she's old, she's
she knows
there.
what she wants.
Exactly, yeah. All right, well, to kind of wrap up here, is there anything else that you feel like something that we talk about is how becoming a parent? Can you adjust the camera a little bit because it feels like you're kind of dripping. Yeah, there you go. So something that we talk about is like how becoming a parent helps you to evolve as a person, right? You learn
Yeah.
different things about yourself. Your kids kind of act as like a mirror where you're able to see parts of yourself that you didn't see before. So, to kind of just wrap up here, what are some of the things that you've learned about yourself as a parent, and how have you evolved since, before your kids were here to today?
That the one thing that I learned is that I lack patience with my kids or with kids. Like, but I'm not saying I snap or anything, but I just like I get frustrated. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to work on myself is relax, just don't get mad. They're not gonna listen right away. And even my bro was sometimes like, man, Dad, sometimes you get mad so fast. Like, why do you get so mad so fast? And when your son tells you that, it's like you realize that you have to start changing because I don't want to go through life. And then my kids was like, oh, my dad used to get mad all the time. Oh, my dad got mad quick. So it's like, whether good or bad, you gotta take the good with the bad. Not everyone's perfect. So you have to hear your kids and then work on yourself too because we never stop learning. We always gotta keep working on ourselves too.
Yeah, I think the challenge for some parents is they don't want to hear their kids.
Yeah,
Like,
well, they don't want to hear the kids, or no one likes to be told that they're wrong, or that they have errors, or that they make mistakes, or that they're imperfect. Because everybody always complains, "Oh, well, you do this." Like when you tell somebody like something that they have like a fault, their first reaction is like, "Oh yeah, well you do this and this and that." Like, dude, I'm only trying to help you out. Like, yeah, I know. Like, I know I need to work on, because no one's perfect. I know there's some stuff that I do that probably pisses people off. But when you try to tell somebody, "Hey, you know what, dude? Like, you do this," like, "Oh well," they start attacking you. It's like, all right, that's why kind of you kind of want to surround yourself with people that are gonna accept them. Like, yeah, you know what, dude, you're right. You're right. Like, I tell my wife, like, "Hey, babe, like this," and she's like, "Okay, babe, I'll work on it." She actually does.
Yeah, it's accountability. And yeah, some people are afraid.
Accountability, yeah, yeah, man. Instead of trying to attack other people and getting mad when you're told that you're in the wrong, just learn to accept it, work on it, move forward. Because at the end of the day, that person's trying to help you out. You know, it's only good's gonna come from you getting better.
hmm Sure, man. Yeah, is there anything else you want to share? I think that was a beautiful note to end on, but is there anything else that you want to just on the topic of what we've talked about here?
I just want to tell people to learn to enjoy time, man. Learn to enjoy time with your loved ones, because it goes by fast. That's the only thing I can say, man. It goes by super fast.
Beautiful, man. Thank you. Well, again, I want to just thank you for having this time talk with us. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people who resonate with your story as a boxer, as a father, as just a man in your community and everything that you share with us, man. So thank you again.
Of course. You have a nice day, Fernando. Appreciate it.